certainly people out there who are just naturally tidy and naturally organized. Like they've just been this way their whole life. I like to imagine they're the people who bought the pencil case in elementary school and then actually used the pencil case and kept their pencils organized in it. I was not this person. I'm not somebody who necessarily is naturally tidy or organized, but I have found little tweaks to my life that make me more tidy and organized, and thus I have adopted them and shifted myself in some ways to be more organized. And I've realized that there are certain things that organized people do that you can steal from them in order to be more organized. And I'm going to share what I think the top ones are with you right now. Oh, really quick before we jump into this video, I want to ask you guys for a favor. I have a link in the description box down below, and it would mean the world to me if you would take like 3 to 5 minutes to fill it out. Essentially, I am on the next step of possibly having my own product, and I need some information from you guys before I can make those next steps. Number 1 is organized people give everything in their home a place. Everything in their home has a designated place they go because they know if they don't, those items will become essentially just loiterers, right? They sit around out on the counters, on tabletops, in a corner of the floor because they don't have anywhere else to go. They literally have no home, so they just kind of hang around. They move from spot to spot, they pile up on the floor, or worst of all, they finally get shoved into some random closet or drawer where they are totally forgotten about. And then they meet other items that don't have homes, and they get married, and they have little clutter babies, and now you have little clutter families all around your house. I think you guys know what I mean, right? Maybe you bought something and you brought it home, but like you're not ready to use it yet, and it like sits on the counter for a few days, and then you move it to your desk and it sits there for another week or two, and then like the next week you're having company, so like you shove it into a drawer, and then who knows when you're gonna see it again. Organized people give every single thing in their house a home, and that is because this way everything always has somewhere that it belongs. It ensures you're not creating junk closet or drawers. It also helps ensure that you can keep your space tidy, because when everything has a home, picking up is a breeze. You don't have to extend any thought of mental energy on where things should be going. They just go to their spot and you can move on. Organized people don't just have a home for everything, but they make sure to give homes to all new things too. Which brings me into number 2, which is they put things away as soon as possible. Organized people don't let things sit around. One of the best things I have personally done on my organization journey is when a package arrives, I now work to tend to it immediately. I open the package, I put the items that are inside away, or I designate a spot for them if they don't have it, and I break down and remove the boxes and packaging material from my home. When I come home with groceries, I get everything put away as soon as I have time. I mean, I've got a 1 and a 3-year-old. If I'm coming home with groceries and I've got them in tow, I don't always have time to put everything right away, but I tend to it as soon as I have time to. I unbox items that don't need to be in boxes. I decant items. I get the kid snacks organized. Organized people also focus on putting away tools and supplies as soon as they are done with them, right? Putting things away as soon as possible. Here's an example. I just hung up some new artwork in my house, so we had to get out the level, and we had to get out the hammer and the screwdriver for one of the pieces, and we hung up the artwork, and as soon as I was done, I took those tools and I put them back where they go in the basement, as opposed to just like, okay, I'm all done, put them on the countertop, because you put them on a countertop and in your mind you're like, I'm gonna put it away, but sometimes days pass before you do it. So one of the best ways to be a little more tidy and organized is to get into the habit of putting things away as soon as you're done with them or as soon as they come into your house. The third thing that organized people do is they shop a lot more mindfully. If you're somebody who is organized and you've gone through any process of decluttering in order to be more organized, which tend to go pretty hand in hand, you start to just become really aware of your stuff and the stuff in your home. The more you organize and the more you declutter, the more you realize that everything you own, needs to be taken care of and needs to be managed. And as you adopt decluttering as sort of this like daily thing you're doing in your life, you just become very aware of the stuff that takes the most of your time to manage. And thus, you become a lot more mindful when you're shopping. It is a lot easier for you not to buy something because you can look at it and say, oof, is this really worth bringing home and then me having to manage? I think for me, this was the most obvious in my closet. As I've become more minimal in my wardrobe, I love to be able to keep it that way. I hate that feeling of clutter when it starts to seep into my closet because it just makes it harder to get dressed in the morning. It makes it harder to manage my laundry. And so I'm much more mindful of that when I'm buying clothes. Any piece of item I want to buy is something I'm going to have to maintain, fold, wash, hang, and typically I don't find the trade-off worth it unless it's a piece I know I really, really love and I'm going to wear a lot. So it helps me immensely when I'm doing any shopping, and it helps me immensely into buying excess things that I don't need. The fourth thing that organized people do that maybe you're not doing is they declutter often. I have said this a lot of times, but clutter is not a one-time problem with a one-time solution. Clutter doesn't just come into your home one time. Thus, the idea that we just do one big declutter doesn't always work as well. There is constantly things coming into our house. Like, we all have lots of means of ways that things come into our house. We have mail, we have packages, we go shopping, we have groceries, our kids' stuff brings stuff home, and we don't usually have as many modes of things leaving our home. We often tend to look at organizing and decluttering as this like one big time event. And sure, sometimes it is. Sometimes we do one big declutter of a space because it really needs it. But organized people know that decluttering is more than that. It's daily maintenance. Decluttering is not always doing a massive purge of your closet. Sometimes it's just clearing off a table that has gotten some excess on it, or organizing and decluttering the inside of the utensil drawer. Because we have so many modes of things entering our house, we need to get into the active state of like always getting things, the excess things, out of our home as well. And number 5 is organized people keep their flat surfaces clean. They do not rely on flat surfaces to be the holder of things, and flat surfaces very often become the holder of things because they're really, they're really good at holding things. You gotta hand it to them. Countertops, tables, they're good at holding on to stuff. So organized people work on keeping countertops cleared off as much as possible, clearing off tables, taking things piled up on flat surfaces and putting them away to the places that they belong. If you watched some of my videos here before, you may have seen my 30 days to be cleaner challenge. So you've heard me talk about this before, but I call it tending to my flat surfaces. And I typically do this 2 to 3 times a day. I know that this sounds like really excessive to do it 2 to 3 times a day, but I'm talking a couple of minutes because again, it comes down to that. Decluttering is really daily maintenance. It's not like big time decluttering all the time. It's the daily maintenance. So 2 to 3 times a day, I'm picking flat surfaces and I'm clearing them off and I'm getting things back to where they go. I'm getting things that don't belong in the house out of the house. It's about that daily maintenance. And organized people know that flat surfaces are not the holders of things. So that is not where something belongs. So there you have it, friends. My 5 habits. This is 10. I mean 5. My 5 habits that organized people do that maybe you don't. Essentially, these are the things that I have realized that I could easily adopt into my life to turn myself from somebody who was not very organized into somebody who is much more tidy and organized. As always, thank you so much for stopping by and watching. I hope this video helped you out a little bit. Remember to be kind to yourself and others, and I will see you all in my next video.